It's so funny because right before I was going to start this video, a plane went overhead, which, if you watched my last video, you would know that apparently there's a lot of planes that fly over my apartment that I live in. But yeah, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Avery. Today I'm going to be doing a budget with me. I'm only 2 weeks late since we're already halfway through the month of July. I have some good excuses for that, but I also have some really bad excuses for not posting. I feel like summertime, it's so hard. And sorry if you hear like noises in the background. My dog is walking around and she has a very loud paws, I guess. But I feel like in the summertime, things are just so much harder to do, in the sense of like, I don't know, when it's really nice out, I really don't focus that much on the internet, question mark. I don't know, I just like spend more time outside, or I spend more time on the weekends, I guess is a better way of saying it. Spending my time like visiting friends, going to events, things like that, so I don't end up posting. But also, another reason why I have not been posting, which this kind of will be a bit of a life update video. I know you're like, can I please just have a budget with me? Not on this channel. This is not the channel where we just do the budgeting, because at this point, it is kind of a weird month, but like for the most part, like budgeting, once you're in a good routine, is kind of the same regardless. Except for times, I guess, I'm immediately going to contradict myself, except for times when you have a weird month. So I've been getting into a new routine. Specifically, I got a new job. Yes. If you have been around for a while, you know, I just don't know how to talk about this, I guess. I did get a new job. I have switched employers. I did get a pay raise, but we're not going to see that in today's video. Probably my next video, because I haven't gotten paid yet from this job. So I started it on July 1st, and I don't think I'll get my first paycheck until July 26th. But yeah, so yes, I started a new job. I left my last employer, which, for context, I had been working in some capacity for in this field or with this employer since I was in college. And then when I graduated, I had a brief stint elsewhere, but I returned. I had been there almost 3.5 years continuously. And since I'd been doing it since I was a college student, a lot of my work was wrapped up in my identity. And that just kind of made it difficult to leave, even though it really wasn't. It's not nothing against the people that were there. I really liked people that I worked with from, like, a personal standpoint, but from a professional standpoint, it just wasn't a good environment to be in. It was time for a change. It had been time for a change for quite a while. And if you've seen my previous videos, you've probably seen on and off like how I've talked about I was so stressed at that role. I know everyone feels like this, but it is true. I was severely underpaid for the work that I was doing. Not that in a way that like they were ever going to pay me more, though. It was just like I knew that the value I was bringing to that role was not matching the money that I was getting paid. You know what I mean? So just wasn't worth the level of stress. Work was just so hard for no reason, because I didn't find the actual work in and of itself very hard. Um, I'm just gonna talk my thoughts out here. But let's pretend this is kind of like a podcast episode about my life. So my last employer, the work wasn't necessarily hard, but it was a very bureaucratic institution. So things were very difficult in a way that I don't really mesh with, because there wasn't a real reason behind a lot of it, like it was a lot of interdepartmental fighting that my literal role was designed to be in the middle of that, kind of volleying between the two, or being a liaison between the two departments that didn't really work well with each other, were very dysfunctional, and just yeah, I liked the industry I was in, but it wasn't an industry that would ever pay you what you were worth. Like, I was already at the largest institution. I don't know how to talk about this without like just saying what I was doing. Not that saying what I was doing wouldn't make anyone understand what I was doing, because it's a very, like, it's just a kind of esoteric, industry. But I liked the field of work that I was doing. I was good at it. But it's not a field that is valued at the institutional level. So the pay was never going to reflect how important the job was. You know what I mean? That's kind of across the board. I guess I'll say that I worked in higher education. So I was doing administrative work in that regard. But yeah, it just was not a good environment. So, and the job was very much designed to be a catch-all role, in the sense that, like, if people weren't doing the work that is attributed to their job position, again, I really liked everyone I worked with from a personal standpoint, but from an organizational standpoint, things were just very dysfunctional, and it was bringing a lot of stress to me in a way that it made getting through the workday very hard. It also made every day feel like a sense of failure, which, it's like, I talk it out with my therapist, but it's like a sense of failure that you just didn't need. Like, there's so many other jobs out there, and I knew that I was worth more than that. I'll get to this next part later, but I had been doing this job since I was in college, so I had a very sense. I'd been promoted, of course, but I had this sense of identity wrapped up in it. So I found it difficult to leave, because something that I struggled with during the pandemic is that I graduated in May of 2020. Something happened in March of 2020, I think you all remember, that basically shut down my college experience. And I'm not saying I'm the only person that had their life interrupted from COVID-19. Obviously, that's not true. But what I found very difficult about it was that it took away closure in a transitionary period in my life that I just never got. So I think what was difficult about leaving this role, and sorry if you can hear a fucking bird, it's like chirping like crazy. It's always just so loud. I feel like I become hyper aware of how loud things are as soon as I start filming. But anyways, so a sense of identity wrapped up in the position, because I'd been doing it since college, or been in the field since college. So leaving it felt like I was finally closing that chapter of my life. And it was kind of difficult to work in higher education after everyone I'd known had graduated and moved elsewhere, you know? So it just kind of felt like I was a bit mentally in a space where I just wasn't moving on. And another thing I find difficult is I would much prefer to be the person that works. It's like a company man, in the sense that, like, I feel like that people always talk about how back in the day, they would work 30 something years for a company, and then they would retire. That's really not how it works now. In fact, when you do that, you're just essentially getting taken advantage of. So just doing that, all I'm thinking about is this damn bird. So just doing that is not going to help you in life. And when I've been thinking about what my life goals are, it's like I want to make more money. And that's and I know, even if I don't know after that what I want to do, I know that making more money and continuing to progress in my career will open up more opportunities for me a bit naturally, because money creates opportunities, basically. As if you have more money, you have more flexibility, so you have more options. You're not stuck. What was another thing about money? Oh, and that was another thing, is like I knew if I stayed in my department, there was nowhere for me to go. Like, I couldn't, all the positions above me were essentially filled. So, and they were people that weren't going to retire anytime soon, And also, I knew, like, I didn't really want their work either, So I had been looking at other higher education institutions, But the problem with it was I was already at such a large institution where moving around, and remember I was in a very undervalued field, is that all the other places paid even worse. It's so sad because it's like you feel like you just want to, ultimately you're trying to help the student, but because you're not in a role that makes money for the institution that's supposedly nonprofit, you don't end up actually, they're not going to pay you right, basically. You're just considered an expense for them, even though if you didn't work the job or if no one worked the job, they wouldn't exist as an institution, you know? So, whatever. And then there was also the work had been very difficult. That's probably the last thing I'll say about it. Is the work had been very difficult from a federal standpoint too. So we dealt with a lot of changing federal regulations, and it has been a complete shit show the past year or two, and it was just a continuous disaster. So it just made work impossible to do because there were so many delays on the federal side, and then I was dealing with so many delays on an institutional side, but I was expected to answer for everything when I didn't have the answers and I didn't have the support I needed, you know? Just so stressful for no reason. I truly think like no reason. Like, yes, I can't change the federal delays, but no one needed to act like that, you know? Yeah, just some thoughts about it. And I did find a new position. Back in March, I had applied for a role at a public institution. And I knew for quite a while that I was like, I need to get a new job. But I didn't know what I wanted to study, or not study. I didn't know what I wanted to go into, didn't know what I was qualified for. I had considered maybe just getting my graduate, like my master's in business administration. Not doing that now, at least for now. But I basically knew for quite a while that I needed to find a new position, but I did not really rush the decision. And I also wasn't feeling super strongly either way on what to do. So I just basically would just look at companies that I knew I was interested in working for, and I would just monitor them and for their job postings to see if anything would pop up that I felt qualified for and I felt like I could do and I felt like I wouldn't hate. I find maybe if anyone wants me to make a video about just my thoughts about job searches or just anything at all, I've been considering making like a very, very casual podcast of me just working through some of my mid 20s. You know, I also turned 26. I don't in June. So I'm now 26 years old. So I'm like, what am I in my late 20s now? I feel like I'm in my mid to late 20s. But yeah, I've thought about doing a very casual podcast about that and other topics. So if you have thoughts on that or if you think I should do it, let me know. It would be very, very, very casual, just talking my thoughts out loud, and you can listen to it as you are going about your day. But yeah, I had been looking at companies that felt like I could maybe do the work. There's some jobs where it's like I could do the work, but I didn't want to do the work. Like, I knew I didn't want to be like in a call center. I knew I didn't want to be taking call, like be on call all day, because that was another aspect of my job where I would spend all day on some set schedule that was wildly determined by other external factors. I had no control over anything, but I was expected to answer for everything, you know? So I wanted something that paid more, obviously, but it had a smaller scope of responsibilities, if that makes sense. Not necessarily less work, although that would have been nice, but a more focused scope of responsibilities. And that's what I kind of like about working a job. So I feel like with every job I've worked, I've learned something about what I do like and what I don't like about positions. So anyways, one day in the middle of March, so I knew one day this position had opened up for this company I was interested in working for. I know you don't have to meet every qualification for a job to apply for it. But what I thought was interesting about it was they said that one of their preferences was a political science degree, which is actually what I studied. Not that what I was doing at my old role wasn't political science related, because political science is kind of just, I don't know, like it's just kind of like a general studies or a liberal arts degree. You could do a bachelor's of science, but I did a bachelor's of arts. But basically, you can kind of, it's like a choose your own adventure degree. So like you learn a lot about politics and some public administration, things like that. But what I liked about it was a role that sounded very similar, not very similar, but there was a lot of overlap between what I did now, what I did then, and I'm now doing. It's so hard to talk about this because now I've been in the job for 2 weeks now. But in the middle of March, I was like, okay, I'll apply to this position. I'd really been waffling on like doing things because I just kind of always feel this sort of anxious undertone about any sort of major changes in my life. But I did end up applying, and I kind of just set that aside. That was the only role I applied for. So at the end of May, I get asked to do an interview, and I was kind of freaking out a bit because, again, I don't know why, but I always felt like this sense of, and I know companies will just drop you on a dime if they need to, so it's like you shouldn't feel loyal to the company you're working for. But remember, I was in a very like semi-toxic environment, and I had prided I at the time I can't even think of the word. I really pride as a person, I really pride myself on being like reliable, not letting people down, and getting work done. Like if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. And what had been, and like I'd worked in a team of 3 people, so of me plus 2 other people, and I just knew like switching careers would create a lot of work for them. So I don't know. I was just freaking out about it, but I decided, I was like, I'll do the interview. And up to the point before the interview, I was like, I'm not going to. I was like, I could just cancel. I could just cancel because I've done that in the past. I've gotten interview offers and I've just canceled them because I was afraid to change. It's like what you know is always better to you than what you don't know. Like, what if you move into a worse situation? But the week later, I had the interview, and I actually felt very connected in a sense to my my now manager and her manager, in the sense that like what they were talking about and their like philosophy towards work and how to do work and how to handle, I don't know, how to handle like the public, I guess. So like customers or clients really gelled with some of the issues I had in my old position. So it honestly put me a lot at ease because I was also able to ask a lot of questions that I couldn't exactly glean from the job description, because I really wanted to have an actual understanding of like what the work was and what the day would, like what my day would be like and what I was expected to do. So taking the interview and learning more about it really put me at ease. And I also had felt very strongly, like I felt very good after the interview, as in like thought I did well. I thought I would get the job, and guess what? I did, I guess. But I don't know. I'm a very intentional person, so like this is the only role I applied to. I don't believe in like casting the net widely because it's not worth your time usually, and it's just not worth your time because like I'd rather have a better understanding on like what a job is and if I'm interested in it than kind of shotgun like job applications and just see what comes back to me. That being said, like saying that, there's like a huge privilege really in saying that because I already had a job. So I already was having the mindset of like worst case scenario, I just keep doing what I'm doing now. Like I already have a position. It's not going to go away. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I can't do it, and I wasn't like destitute. I wasn't struggling financially. I just wanted a change. Okay, so I got the job offer when I was in Colorado. But they wanted me to start like either early June or mid-June, but I ended up pushing it out to July 1st because I had my surgery. I had my surgery in the end of May, so I didn't know what the recovery would be like for that. So I didn't, and I also just needed to, I just didn't know what the recovery would be like, basically. So they agreed, and then I started on July 1st, and it was kind of stressful. Like on my last day at my old job, I was like crying, but because everyone was hybrid and it was a Friday, nobody was in the office. It was just a very like lackluster way to end a chapter in my life, and I'd been feeling a bit unsettled about the new position at the time. But and then my first week, it was a bit difficult as well at the new role. Okay, and let me tell this in order. So I was feeling very unsettled about it. I'm not even telling it in order. So yeah, Friday was my last day and I was very upset. However, on Thursday, so the day before, where a lot of people were in the office, like, and nobody was upset. Like, that's what I mean by, like, I really liked the people I worked with, in the sense that we all understood that, like, ultimately, like, the decisions you're making in your life are not personal, just because someone wants to move on doesn't mean it's necessarily anything personal, I guess. But again, a lot of people usually end up in the field and they stay in it a long time, or they really wrap their identity around it, which not necessarily a bad thing, but not necessarily a good thing either. Again, I can make a whole video about this, just my thoughts about jobs and change and work and identity. But I had been feeling some type of way about it on Thursday, and then I had gotten an email from my new employer that basically, let's talk financially. I'm so sorry, but let's talk financially. So my old role, I had been making $52,275. This new role was $58,000. Some significant changes with it is my old role was hybrid. This new role, I'm in the office mostly 5 days a week. There is some flexibility to working from home. For example, I work downtown now, so if there's big downtown events, sometimes I like just work from home. That happened my first week because it was 4th of July. And if you have doctor's appointments, things like that, they're like, just work from home. Like, the directive for working in the office isn't coming from immediate management, it's coming from people above them, you know what I mean? So they try to be as flexible as possible, with the understanding that you're mostly in the office 5 days a week. I don't know. So when I did the interview, I really felt like this was a good fit and everything was gonna work out, I just had a really good feeling about it. Yeah, so then I got the pay increase. I was $58,000. And then 2 days before, like the end of the week before I was gonna start, so like June 28th, 29th, I got an email from HR at my new job saying, actually, we're going to pay you a higher rate. So they increased my starting salary by another 3%. And so now I make $59,740. So just under $60K. And when I got that email, I knew that even though this was like a hard mental, emotional decision for me, that it was ultimately like the right choice. I felt like it was the universe telling me, like, this is the best decision you could be making at this time. Because while 3% doesn't sound very high, like, you combine it, one, that's a pretty standard increase, and then you combine it with the fact that I was going from 52,000 now up to 59,740. That was a pretty significant increase for me. So, and I knew, like, working in the office 5 days a week would be kind of a change. And I had been wondering to myself, like, was the pay increase enough to warrant going from a hybrid position, so 2 days in the office, to essentially full-time in-office role? And I ultimately decided yes. One, because this company is larger. I think it's larger. It's more widespread, and there's more opportunities to really work your way up in the system. I knew that there would be more opportunities, and I knew that they would pay more. And I had done a lot of research about people who had left my old employer and had gone to my new employer, and they had been feeling very happy about their decision. But I bring all this to say that a 3% increase before I even started the job was better than anything my last employer had ever offered. Like, you could only get raises at my last employer if you changed positions, regardless of if that was a good fit for you or whatever. Like, that's what they told you to do if you wanted to make more money. And then when they would do the merit increases, they would give you 2.5%. Didn't matter how good you were at your job. Didn't matter if you were the best performer. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered, basically. They were always just going to flatline you to this measly 2% increase. But yeah, I basically had already felt more, even though it was probably just like a standard increase for their fiscal year, because I was starting at the beginning of the fiscal year on July 1st. I still felt just so much more valued already at this new company than I had ever felt at my last employer. Yeah, so I make just under 60,000. They do have an incentive where if I do like a biometric screening and like a preventative care appointment, things like that, I will make, I think it's like $1,500 extra, and like it'll be a bonus, like it'll get paid out. So I'm obviously going to do that because I don't leave money on the table at all. So that would be like my salary is over 60K. Effectively. And what else? There's another thing. Oh, there's more opportunities, like cash out your vacation and sick time here. Obviously, I don't have any, but like if I continue to stay in this role or in this company, like it'll build up over time. And then finally, I started doing the work, and I am really enjoying it. It's funny because my coworkers now, they're like, oh my gosh, Avery, you just work so quickly. But like, I'm so used to like just a chronically understaffed, overworked work environment where I was getting pulled in 100 different directions every day, where I couldn't get anywhere with anything. That like, and I was supposed to know every topic or like every specialization in the department, that just having the luxury of being able to focus, being able to focus in one area. And at the moment I have even more of a focus. As I obviously get more experience, I'll expand what I work on in this program a bit more. So I'm like a business analyst for a program that this company administers. I just know that I will it's just never gonna feel that way. Like, to me, they told me when I did the interview that it was a lot of work, but I just knew, coming from my last employer, that anything new would feel like a complete walk in the park, and it does. That's not me to say I'm so naive that there won't be days where I don't like what I'm doing or I hate the work, or maybe it's difficult because I now do more conversing with like the public, basically. So it's not just internal. I do some external emails and what is the word? Kind of customer service, but it's not on the phone line. Yeah, so I'm really liking it so far, and I love that I have barely no meetings. I love that I make more money for what I consider to be not necessarily easier. I just, like, my last job, and this is what I've been telling all of my coworkers now that I'm gone, like my old coworkers, is just like, I'm like, you guys just need to leave. I don't mean this like nothing against that company, but it's like, it's not a good environment. I'm like, I wholeheartedly believe everyone can make more money doing less work somewhere else, and you deserve to be valued, you know. But yeah, I'm really liking the work. I even like leaving the house every day. Even though I have to go downtown, what's nice about where I live is that I'm on the bus line. And what I discovered is really nice is, for where I live, there's like a neighborhood alliance program, like a neighborhood program, where they you can get a free bus pass. So I actually can just, and I'm directly on the bus line, so I just go straight down the street. Like, it's not a hard bus route or difficult one. It's like the most popular bus route in the city. So all that to be said, it's not some huge inconvenience to take the bus. And what's nice about that is I saved $12 every single day on parking. So that was another thing I'd been concerned about, was the fact that I might, just because I would get a raise, it's very easy for your raise to get eaten up in additional expenses. And thankfully, I'm not in that situation. So that's really, really nice. More flexibility in my like work schedule, in the sense that, like, previously, yes, I could like work a more flexible schedule. However, the boundaries at work wouldn't allow you to actually log off at the time that you're supposed to log off, if that makes sense. Like, I could start at 7 a.m., but there was no point, unless I really needed to get something done. There was no point to doing it, because I would end up being on until 5 or past 5 anyways. Like, so a meeting would get scheduled or whatever, and I was salaried, so it didn't matter. Like, they didn't care. Like, you had to, if you worked more than 40 hours, you worked for more than 40 hours. And that was also the culture of that industry, was like, everyone's supposed to be overworked. And that was another reason why I did not want to stay in that industry. Because I knew, like, I was already doing so much work, but other places that are smaller, you would do even more work for even less pay. It was just so stupid, honestly. So yeah, I am very happy with my decision so far, and I feel so much less stress. I really just, and not only, to go back to the salaried thing, I am salary at this new role. However, their approach to working more than 40 hours is quite different. If you work more than 80 hours in a 2-week period, that is comp time. So like additional time off, I think. So that's really nice. So basically, you have to get approved for it though. So, like, really, like, unless there's a reason to be working additional hours, you're not doing that. In fact, because you are tracking your time, because at my old place, you didn't track your time. Like, you weren't required to, / you weren't supposed to, and that's another way they just, like, take all your time away. Like, you end up working way more than 40 hours every week. Because you track your time, and because you have to be approved to work more than that, and because there's no real reason to work more than that, because the work is so much more focused, you're not doing that. So, like, not only is it like they're just so much better with, like, respecting boundaries and letting your work be your work and let your life be your life, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm very happy about that, because I get to log off and I get to go home and I don't even think about it. Like, I don't think about the work in the slightest. I'm not like, oh gosh, oh, I gotta figure out this issue, I gotta figure out that issue. Another thing is that, like, the work I'm doing currently is like, I don't have to go ask people for answers or ask them to do something, because again, like, my last position, I was a liaison, so I was so dependent on, I could do a lot of things, but there were certain things that were basically held by other positions, and waiting on people to do stuff is not my style. I like to get things done. And feeling like being beholden to other people's timelines, time frames, whatever, like, it's not good. It's not good. I really wanted to go back to being less of a, I am in a team, but I felt like my work was also not getting judged individually. And even if it was judged individually, it didn't matter, because everyone got the same 2.5% increase regardless. So it's very nice to be more of an individual contributor, I guess. Just my responsibilities are just so much less than what they were, but I get paid more for it, which is just crazy to me. But I also, with the business analyst title, I can do a lot with that as I continue to gain experience. Hopefully, in the future, I know I should be able to leverage that if I get the right experience into even higher paying roles and maybe even remote roles in the future. But yeah, I really like going into the office, believe it or not. I don't necessarily care for the cubicle environment. In fact, it's quite ugly. But you know, when is it not? What I like about it is I'm actually in a routine now where I have to get up and I'm forced to get ready and look presentable and leave the house and get out of the house, and I'm walking so much more and I'm eating better too. So hopefully over time I will lose a lot of the stress weight I feel like I put on. But yeah, that is a very long-winded life update about how I finally have a new job. But yeah, let's talk actual financials now about how this is working. So my last position was monthly, and this one will be bi-weekly, which presents a bit of a conundrum these first month or two, in the sense that I got my last paycheck, monthly, like salaried paycheck from my old job at the end of June. And then I'm not getting my next paycheck, which will be just for 2 weeks from my new job until the end of July, because it's also on a 2 week delay. Don't you just love when companies do that? It's on a 2 week delay. That being said, I should also get my vacation payout. I didn't have a ton at my last role because I was taking a lot of time off. Yeah, so but I should get like, I don't know, anywhere from like $400 to $700, but they told me they would not give it to me until the end of July, which is so annoying. But because I have a new position and because I have a new job, and I'm switching to bi-weekly, I have a few things I have to handle. Like, first of all, I need to get a month ahead in my finances again. Technically, I did for a while have a category that was called next month spending. That was always there for next month spending. So that was my version of being a month ahead. But since I'm going back to bi-weekly, I'll probably want to try and get ahead in my actual like assigning of money, I guess. And another thing is I've already moved that $2,000 straight into my emergency fund. And even though it's just like a mental accounting of the money, I don't want to move it out of there into a different category. You know what I mean? So I need to get a month ahead again. This month is kind of weird because I feel like I've just been spending a lot of money. So I'm not gonna really focus. I snoozed a lot of categories, and the reason why I only have a $1,900 is because we're halfway through the month, so I already had to cover some expenses. And I just kept putting it off basically. So this will be a weird budget with me where I'm cleaning things up essentially. But yeah, let's just get started. And if I have more I want to say about the new job, I'll just talk about it as I go. I do have another thing I want to say about it. What is interesting about going from monthly to bi-weekly is I'm going to go from 12 paychecks a year to 26 paychecks a year. And how that usually plays out is you get 2 paychecks every month, and then I think it's twice a year, you'll get a third paycheck. So how that kind of plays out for me is effectively most of the year, since it's spread across more paychecks, my actually monthly take home will be almost the exact same. I even have to, what's the word? I have to pay for my own health insurance now that I'm 26 as well. So that'll get taken out, but it'll be about the exact same as I was bringing home at my old job. What's nice about that, I'm choosing to think this is nice because at first I was like, that sucks. But I think what's nice about that is in theory, should not succumb to lifestyle creep, in the sense that, like, if I'm bringing home the exact same amount, almost the exact same amount every single month, except for the bonus paycheck months, I can't really change my spending habits significantly. You know what I mean? And then when I have those extra months, I can really just funnel those directly into my financial goals. So yeah, that's what's nice about switching back to bi-weekly, and I think it'll also give me more momentum in my financial goals, because getting paid once a month and doing it for work that you felt like you were just putting so much effort into and getting nowhere with really was just kind of mentally demoralizing. So it's kind of a bit of a mental shift to go back to 2 to 3 paychecks a month. But yeah, before I get started, I need to update some of this spending. I really need to make sure I do not let lifestyle creep come in to my new income, because one, it's not so much more that it warrants, drastically changing my income, and two, I have noticed when I looked in my previous reports, I checked my food expenses, and they'd gone up significantly. So I can't keep letting that happen. You know what I mean? I have financial goals I need to hit. But yeah, Spotify raised their prices by $1 again, so now it's $12.89. At Costco, bought a hot dog. I made some payments on my credit cards, so that's having to clear those. And then what's going on here? I went to a baseball game. So even though I said, I'm like, oh, I should not succumb to lifestyle creep, I have so much fun things going on this year. So many fun things I want to do as well. And since I don't really have a goal to buy a house or whatever, my goal is to kind of just keep the course or stay the course. Once I reach some of my savings goals, I think I'll just kind of be doing what I want. You know what I mean? But yeah, that doesn't mean I can't rein it in. I will say that's what's difficult about leaving the house every day, is that every time I leave the house, it just seems like I spend money. I'm not spending it all on transportation, which is nice, but I am spending it on various things. I don't even, and I've not been keeping up with my daily tracking of my expenses. So I don't remember what this $20.49 is for. I want to say maybe a couple groceries and maybe a couple hygiene stuff. I think it's all coming back to me now. I'll just kind of loosely make a decision though on this. So $12.49. I'm gonna say $8 for groceries, and then I'm gonna say the rest is going to the medical fund or medical sinking fund. But yeah, I need to be on top of my daily tracking again, but I kept putting it off because I was like, I'm gonna film a video, and then I just never did it. So anyways, coffee again. Don't buy coffee every time you go to work. It's not, you are financially just not gonna have a good time. $4.49. I don't even know. What did I spend? Yep, that was groceries actually. I bought some cookies. And then, so I'm already over budget on stuff, but I just kind of have to deal with this month the best I can and then just move on from it. I also did Costco, $94. I bought a vegetable chopper, so that'll be nice. But $94. And I don't know if there was any other ones on here actually. Let's do all the pending transactions. So let's see, everything's all screwed up. So I went to what is it called? I went to a book festival and I spent money there. Did I need it? No, but I wanted to do it. Went to a hibachi place. I don't know if hibachi is for me. It just was kind of hard on the stomach. I don't know what this means. Why is it yellow? Oh, dining out. And then I also had to get my car service. It's been a very expensive month. And that's another thing about the month of June, and also why I'm just kind of in the hole from my perspective this past month, is because I now go to the office every day. I had to get a whole new wardrobe, and that's not cheap at all because nothing fit me properly either, and I just kind of been coasting on the fact that I really didn't have to be in public in a professional manner that much. But yeah, so that was another thing that happened. I spent like $800 on clothing and shit when I only budgeted like $500. So had to cover that with my June paycheck, which is why I only have $1,900 and ready to assign. That being said, a win is in the auto category. I got my car service for its yearly service. I had $350 in there, and it only cost me $340.92. So yeah, it depleted almost the entirety of that sinking fund, but I don't have to pull money from elsewhere to cover it, which I thought was going to be more expensive because my battery died on my car. I don't know when that was. The battery died on my car, so I had to replace that already last month. And that was like $200 something. Lost the tire. I got a flat tire, and that was an issue as well. So I was kind of expecting there to be more problems, but it was $340, so I can work with that. But anyways, I'm just gonna cover this overspending real quick and then see where I'm left. So what does this say? I don't understand why this is fucked up. Like, this is something about YNAB has been really pissing me off lately. Is things are not, they don't make any damn sense, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Ready to assign. Did I spend any other money? I think I did. Ready to assign, and then fun money, and I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna keep happening. I've already covered like any bills that have already come out, and another thing is I'm not putting money into any sinking funds, most of them at least. Like, I'm not touching the auto, I'm not gonna touch the medical, because I just don't have the money for it, because the focus is gonna be more so getting a month ahead. So let's do that. I actually do have a little bit more money though that I'm gonna put. My boyfriend sends me money for the dog. I have broken up Cece's expenses into multiple categories, but I don't know how to like allocate money into these categories, so let's just put it in whichever category already has money. But anyways, back to what I was doing. So what I know I need to cover is phone doesn't matter, that already came out. Car insurance is a sinking fund. I pay it at once every 6 months, so Canva is gonna come out. I need to put another $7.52 into my subscriptions. Dude, I don't know what just happened. We'll do that. And then we're leaving this alone. We're not going to be able to put money in the emergency fund. I'm probably not going to put any money in the Roth IRA either, because I want to take as much money as this as possible and sign it into August. See, like, look at this. I'm already at what is this? Over $500? Yeah, almost $500, I guess. Over $500 in my food spending. And yeah, it's July 14th. I don't know, and I'm probably not gonna stop anytime soon, I'm not gonna lie. So $150 I'll put in there, and that can just be moved around between this and dining out if I have to. Therapy, since I don't have, that's another thing. So my new insurance won't start until August 1st, and I lost my last insurance from turning 26 at the end of June. So I'm going a month without insurance. Obviously, if something happened, I would get Cobra and just bite the costs on that. But since I don't really anticipate, and my prescriptions are not very expensive, I'm just kind of putting everything off for this month, hoping for the best, and I will restart things like therapy in August. My Amex annual fee is coming out. Oh, I don't need that much money in there. So that'll come out, I think, next month. So that's fully funded, and then I have to restart it. I need to pay my renter's insurance bill for next year, but I haven't done that yet. YNAB, I'll put $825 in here. I don't know if y'all saw, But YNAB has increased their prices again. What did they increase them to? Like 109 maybe? It's not impossible, but like, do I want to keep spending that? I'm gonna table the thought for now and just see how I feel in the future about it, I guess, because I have some time before my subscription renews, which, by the way, I'm using YNAB, or you need a budget to do my budgeting. So this is what I'm talking about when I say YNAB. $60.89 into Christmas/holidays. I'll just put it in, I guess. We're gonna skip auto or skip medical. I'm gonna snooze this category target. Unfortunately, I do have to continue to put money into the cruise category, so I stay on track with that. And I'm probably just gonna go ahead and put money into the cruise flights. So I stay on track with that, question mark. I don't know. It'll either end up being flight money or spending money. So yeah. I'm not gonna put anything in the beauty because I just bought a bunch of clothes. It's kind of a catch-all category. And I'm gonna put let's do $100 question mark into fun money. Oh gosh, it's gonna be so expensive. Okay, so I have $750 remaining. Let's go into August, and I'm gonna slowly and ideally get a month ahead on things. I'm not gonna put all this money in rent because it'll just feel mentally better if I just get ahead on other stuff. In August, my spin classes will restart, which I'm like, do I really want to spend that much money? Also, my student loans didn't come out in July because they're like recalculating it due to the save plan changes. So that didn't come out. I'm going to make a whole video about my financial goals as they currently stand. But yeah, so I actually don't think, let me update this. I actually only need, I think, nope, I need only $24, which is kind of crazy. Did I do this right? Okay, it updated. So phone, car, okay. I'm gonna do $49 to the phone because I can never understand why the fees are slightly different every month. I'm gonna do $91.66 to my car insurance, $24 to my student loans. I'll skip that one for now. $29 to subscriptions. $29 to subscriptions. I'm gonna have to change my Roth IRA goal. What do I want it to be though? 59,740 multiplied by 0.06 divided by 12. It's gonna get changed, which I've already been putting more in anyways, but we're gonna edit this target to 300 because I'm trying to do about 16% of my gross income into retirement. So that breaks down to 10% to my 401a and 6% goes into another account, so my Roth. What else is there? My transportation expenses should be incredibly low. So we'll do $50. Actually, I'm gonna go back and put another $20 in here. So I have been taking the bus, but during when I go home for the day, but my boyfriend has been dropping me off at the start of the day just because it's like on the way. So even though it's not a far drive, I want to give him money probably for gas since he has to drive his car more, if that makes sense. Therapy, I don't even know how much this would cost. I want to say it's $35. I don't think there's any gifts or anything happening in the month of August. I probably need to put more money into this month into Cece's fund because it's already time to pay. I'm just so over it. I hate all the dog expenses, to be honest. Just leave it like that. Cruise, like none of this is like super necessary, so I'm like don't need to really fund all of that, if that makes sense. So I'll just put the remaining, I'll do the remaining as soon as I allocate this. I'm gonna do remaining 3. What's 672.50 divided by 2? I'll do 336.25 into my rent category for August. And then finally, I'm just gonna take this remaining 63.75. I'm gonna put it somewhere. Let's just put it in the WTF category with the understanding that it can move around as needed. But yeah, so I'm still underfunded by $1,983. Not all of these, I don't even know actually if this is fully accurate when you think about it. 119, because I don't think some of these have, like they should have a category target, but they don't. But yeah, I'll slowly chip away, or as quickly as possible, I guess, chip away at getting a month ahead again, and maybe I'll change some of these around. I don't change this to 125 a month, maybe. Auto, I'll just keep it at $50 a month. CC's vet expenses. But yeah, let's kind of move things around. I don't know. This will need to restart. I guess I'll have to restart this next month, I guess, question mark. Holiday. I have no interest in Christmas right now, but I've been saving for it each month. Auto, I can't really move any of this around. Which is kind of unfortunate. I can change this a bit. Edit, target. Is this even right? Monthly, let's do that. $100. Okay, save target. Because I don't like it when it does the extra week thing. Beauty. I just feel like I just don't have a great handle on my finances. But if I could get my food spending down, that would probably open up a little bit more flexibility for me. And if I get a month ahead, so when I get paid, I don't know, y'all. I just, I just don't know. I just, not feeling super great about most of my spending. I'm gonna change this. I don't know, $15,000 feels right. I'm struggling a bit with like priorities and focus when it comes to my finances. I think I know generally that I would love to, like, I don't know if I could get another $6,300, but get as much money as possible into the emergency fund. Maybe get this at least up to 10,000. It'd be nice to get to the whole 15, and then I could focus on other things. I just feel like I'm making slow. What is this? Slow prog. Does this go further over? Wait, hold on. Oh, that's how far it goes. Okay. Make more progress on things. Let me make a target for this. Monthly. It doesn't even matter. I put everything as the last day of the month. $200. Save target. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. 150. Trying to have a better understanding of where I'm at. Create target. 250. Something has to give, I guess. I'll think about it next month, I guess. I don't know. This stuff can obviously not spend as much money. I can maybe adjust this a bit. This is probably the problem, is like, but the full 200 doesn't necessarily have to come from me. Okay, whatever. So yeah, that's a bit of a life update. If you listen to all of that, thanks. But yeah, thank you for watching. Sorry that it was a long video, and sorry that I've just not been posting. I will be better soon. I have faith. But yeah, hope you all are having a good month of July, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye now.